Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Coastal Dental Nightlife Podcast. I'm your host as always, Mark Majanzik, joined here on this lovely Tuesday morning with Gold Coast Knights Chairman, Mr. Adrian Puljic. Adrian, welcome back.
Thanks, Mark. Feels good. 2 points from 6. Feel happy. Let's crack on.
And also joining us here today, Football Director, Mr. Jimmy Galgotis. Jimmy, welcome to the pod again.
Good morning all. Good morning.
We had a bit of a hiatus, contract disputes, but we've managed to sign those. Back from
Collective bargaining agreements now signed. And
we're back on the air. So a couple of games in between our last podcast. Obviously, we had the win against Redlands, 3-0 victory there away from home, followed by the FFA Cup match against Southside Eagles, another 3-0 win away from home, progressing through to the Cup, and obviously a tough 1-1 draw here in the weekend just gone against Sunshine Coast. So Adrian, looking at the three games collectively, 4 points in the league out of possible 6 against a very organised Sunshine Coast team, and obviously progression in the Cup. Busy couple of weeks.
What 4 points? Isn't it 2 from 6?
Redlands, 3 points.
Was it 9 we drew against Moreton Bay as well?
Yeah, that was before.
9.
That was before Redlands.
So 4 from 9. Well, that probably answers the question by my response. Look, I think Redlands, we displayed that quality. We put the pressure on early. We were aggressive. Did what we needed to do. Delivery was great. Shape was good. Second half, we looked better. I think we settled into the game. For some reason, we've got second half syndrome. For the last 2 years at this club, we seem like we need to go down 1-0 before the boys decide that geez, we've got to get a result here. So I think we should just start off 1-0 against Brisbane Roar on Friday night and see how we go.
But again, looking at progression through the Cup as well, Southside Eagles, obviously they haven't had the best of fortune in the FQPL, but a tricky little midweek fixture there. They made it tough for us, but still getting the job done and progressing through. Obviously Australia Cup has a big part of what we do here at Gold Coast Knights.
Yeah, look, knockout football is what it is. It doesn't really matter what the scoreline is. I know there was concern about how many goals were banged in that game, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter because the big thing that you need to consider is, you win 1-0 or 10-0, it doesn't matter. Melbourne victory. Scored in the dying minutes here a couple of years ago and ended up winning the thing. So it doesn't really matter as long as we get the W. Definitely.
Jimmy, looking at this weekend just gone, Sunshine Coast, tough outfit, very organised team. Both sides, I thought, from my personal perspective, played pretty well. A lot of chances created by Knights, especially in the second half there, couldn't execute, but Sunny Coast had a plan, they stuck to it, and came out of the Croatian Sports Centre with a point. Overall, is that going to be a good point in retrospect in the duration of the whole season?
Oh, a point's a point at the end of the day, but you're playing at home, and you're always wanting, obviously, to get the 3 points. So, but again, Sunny Coast came here with a plan. They were organised, they were disciplined. They worked extremely hard off the ball in their front third. And again, our first half probably wasn't our best half, but I think second half we started to dominate the game. Our passes were fractionally smaller. We combined, we stretched them out wide, and we created numerous opportunities. Unfortunately, there wasn't obviously a final product at the end, but we were really, really comfortable, I thought, in the second half. And we moved the pieces around. We were really good, I thought, in the second half, but again, we just didn't come away with the 3 points.
Adrian, obviously, when you look at a team like Sunshine Coast, they've been hard to beat in every year of the NPL, especially at home, as we all know. But a team that Paul Arneson coaches and to set up the way they did, is it something to look back on for us? Obviously, with a tricky trip back to Sunshine Coast in the second round, and obviously their run so far this year, having knocked off some of the bigger teams as well. What do you think of the overall Sunshine Coast, being in the NPL and what we can take away from that game?
Well, I think Paul's done a fantastic job with what he's done at the Wanderers. Like, at the end of the day, that's a squad that forever seems to lose players to our Brisbane clubs. The better players always get poached to go and make a difference in Brisbane. And Paul seems to continue to replenish his stocks. And there's no real big noticeable names at the Wanderers, but what they will do is they'll toil, they'll work hard, they'll play together, and they grind the results. So there's certainly not a lack of talent in the Sunshine Coast region, and Paul's lucky from that sense. He's the sole club in that area. Wanderers run a good administrative outfit as well. So, you do expect them to be strong. Why not? It's a rich talent pool. But in saying that, you look at what the Knights have assembled. And as Jimmy alluded to, the fact that you're at home. Our home record this year has been terrible. We might as well not play at home. That's the fact of the matter.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's regarding the home situation?
I don't know. I think what it is that the boys just don't look settled. There's been player changes, injuries, formation changes, and I think we just haven't settled. I don't think players have had the opportunity yet to really get to set up some linkage play and do the things that you've seen in the past, because some games, and Sunshine Coast Wanderers match is that game where you need that calibre of player to be the difference. When everything else is nullified, you need the Brad Inmans to stand up. You need the Poiliaks to do something special. You need Pasquale. Pasquale did what was expected of him. That little piece of individual brilliance. Dembele doing what he needs to do, shooting. I don't understand what our fear is for shooting. We don't like shooting.
We've got neighbours here. Magpies.
Go the Pies.
Saying hello. We're doing a podcast outside for the first time.
Go the black and white fire engine.
Does not want to move. But looking at that, obviously the Pasquale David finish, Jimmy. I think anyone in the ground would have thought that someone would have hit it first time. 99.9% of people would have hit it first time. Pasquale didn't, and I think that's why he ended up scoring. Your thoughts on the finish specifically there?
Yeah, you've got this love affair, haven't you, with obviously Davida. Yes, he took it well, great. But for me, again, can we create more? Can we create more? Can we get, front runs, forward runs? All those types of things that we sort of saw in the second half, that we actually look really, really good. We just need more of it. If we can do that, I think we can take, teams to the sword. But until we can get that final product or that final combination or stretch the opposition like we did in the second half, we're going to struggle.
Looking at the league table specifically, very tight across. A lot of teams right in the mix there. A lot of teams that I think people wouldn't have expected to have the run that they've had.
We're only a game off top position.
It's not panic stations yet, but we're going into... Look, it's not panic stations yet, but you have to look at the run of games coming up, right? So they're games that you can't make mistakes in.
Brisbane City, a tough away trip coming up.
Even Brisbane Roar this Friday night in the Kappa Cup.
Series, yeah. So obviously we've got that game that's up and coming. But then you look at our league run, City away, Brisbane Roar Youth here at home, Peninsula Power away, who we know are struggling, but sometimes a wounded Giant is tough. At the end of the day, they'll be looking for points at any juncture, so that's going to be obviously a tricky game. And then obviously Lions after that at Lions, so a couple of busy weeks there, 3 very busy away trips in the league. But as you said there, Adrian, Kappa Pro Series next up. But Jimmy, Friday night back here, is it a good time to just get back to basics, get some goals, try get some forward momentum going into the tricky away fixtures coming up?
Of course it is. Again, but we're playing obviously a raw youth side, that haven't really done too much wrong so far this season. Everyone, and myself included, thinking that they're going to be, easy beats, but they're proving us all wrong, and they're in the game for long periods of time. So credit to them, credit to their obviously staff and organisation. So it's not going to be an easy game, not at all. But again, can we get back to what we did in the second half last weekend? If we can do that more efficiently, I think we can take that game pretty convincingly.
If you also look at the other teams, in the competition, Olympic and Penn Power specifically, top 4 rivals of ours for many years now. Adrian, tough start for them in the season, but what can we expect to see from those sides in this middle patch? Do you expect them to pick back up, or what are your personal thoughts on that one?
Look, I think what you can expect from Power and Olympic, more so from Power, I don't see where it's going to come from for Olympic, just because, I don't know, Olympic to me, yes, it's a different playing style. Yes, it's pretty much a different squad to what Ben Khan had there last year. But they just look lost. They're not playing good football at all. And they've got the freight there to play good football. You don't need big names. I think what the league's shown us this year is you've got teams like Moreton Bay and Sunshine Coast Wanderers. You just need unity. You need that ability to play as a team, plays together and toil. And you're not seeing that from Olympic, and to a lesser degree Power as well. Like I watched Power versus Brisbane Roar Youth the week before, and it was like a Power of, yesteryear. Like not even yesteryear, but from before NPL days. It's not a Power that you recognise. But let's not take it away from the likes of the Moreton Bay, Gold Coast United, Sunny Coast Wanderers that are up there. They're deservingly up there. You can't say that their results, Jimmy, have been an anomaly, because they continue to back it up with strong performances week in, week out. We're almost a third of the season.
There's not an anomaly there at all. No. There's not an anomaly there at all. You look at those two teams that came to our home ground. They were really well organised. Yeah, playing a different style of game, a different structural game. All players were connected when they didn't have the ball. They knew exactly where they needed to be. And when they got the ball, they were running. They were running forward. They're at speed as well. They were taking the game on. And this is what I really enjoyed on the second half in our game. We actually took the game on a little bit. We made it wider. We took the first touch forward, instead of going sideways all the time. We went forward. We didn't go long. We shortened up our passes. We combined. We controlled the game. And then all of a sudden they got in uncomfortable. And then we started stretching them. And then we started to obviously open up spaces for our forward runners. And we scored a goal. And we probably should have scored maybe 2 or 3. We have the ability, if you look at how we played from the 85th minute to the 97th minute, which you should be more tired, right? Like that's when the game loses momentum. If we played like that all game, we win that game 4-0 or 4-1.
I think it is hard though. You've got a Sunny Coast team that sit in, they defend, they scrap for every ball. I couldn't count one aspect that Sunny Coast put 5 passes together, to be fair. So it's all counter-attacking style football, and as we know and we're renowned with our teams, we don't really match up well with the counter-attacking style football. We enjoy playing against teams that try play as well, a la Brisbane City, Lions, so that should be a massive indicator. I think, personally, looking at the next couple of weeks...
You know what, Mark, I agree with that. Yeah. I actually agree with that, because on the counter, we don't have a midfield.
Yeah.
We go from Braimora Dembele to Polyak straight for a 2-on-1, 2-on-2 type scenario all the time.
Yeah.
And you think, holy hell, they moved quickly.
Yeah, but in the second half, we need to understand that Sunshine Wanderers, have almost a box midfield, and they actually want to play through midfield. Okay, so we actually took the game out of their terms. We actually started to get on the ball. We widened up the game a little bit more in midfield, and we shorted up, and then we actually started to strike forward. So for me, we've got midfielders there who can do the job really, really well. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of stop turning the ball and going long, when we don't need to, when we're good enough to play through lines and break lines, and that's what we showed in the second half. For me, I thought we were head and shoulders above them in the second half. But first half, we were just this erratic type of game plan, which I didn't quite understand, because it went away from what we normally do. We were just going long to 2v1s against us, and then they mopped it up. They had extra players in midfield and they controlled the game. So
I think because we were also pushing for a goal so much in the second half, it also opened us up to the counter, which Joshie, let's not forget, Joshie was called upon a few times. Obviously not the best of halves. First half, Josh obviously recognised that, but bounced back really strong in the second half, which is what great keepers do.
Yeah.
And that's what he did do. But look, I think, as you said there, Adrian, we're 3 points away from top.
That was Jimmy's call and the right call.
So we're
still in the hunt, and even for Olympic and Power, right, who are last and second last. It's still not too far away from them either.
Momentum is.
And let's think about it as well. Who have we played? So we've actually played the 4 sides that have come out of the gates really quickly.
The strongest.
So the strongest. So You know, we're still settling into what we want to do moving forward. That's fine, I get that. Yeah, but I still think there's going to be better days ahead. You know, there really will be. You know, I think there's going to be a big test next Saturday away at Brisbane City. They look like they're starting to get their mojo, even though, again, they played Rochdale. Rochdale, for me, at the moment, doesn't look anything extraordinary. But at the same token, they fight. They fight, you know what I mean?
They fight. If you look at what they're conceding,
you know, and they've got some good players. They've got some good players. They've got some good players.
They're conceding early, but I tell you what this year has shown in the league is if you concede early, you're going to pay the price for it. You know, the teams will not let you score as easily as what's gone on in years gone by.
And again, it's credit to, you know, Sunshine Wanderers, for example. They've come here. They haven't played a defensive game. They haven't come here and go, you know what, we're going to score a goal and we're going to park the bus. They didn't park the bus at all.
I felt like they did a bit, Jimmy, to be honest.
Second half, yes. When we started controlling the game, they did. They go, what the hell? What the hell are we doing? We can't control the game. We're not controlling the narrative. There was moments there they had 6 players in their defensive line.
As they shouldn't control the narrative, being away from home.
Exactly. So. But we took the game to them, and that was the fantastic thing about what we saw. You know, the mindset totally changed. Obviously, Scott got inside the change room, had a chat to him. You know, did a few changes. It worked. So again, credit where credit's due. But again, we're at home. We should be banging in those type of, you know, opportunities.
One low light for me has to be Brad Inman's red card. I think whether it's a red card or not, or theatrics or not, you know, that was a perfect opportunity. You got 6 minutes left in the game of extra time to make that opportunity count. We're on top of them as it was already.
Yeah, we were.
He's a tall player. You know, you've got Polyak there that can whip it in. And we unfortunately succumbed to that red card, which is disappointing. For me, that was the lowest light of the game, and now we miss him. You know, we miss him for a few games where, ideally, you know, he's at this club for the likes of the Brisbane Cities away.
We asked serious questions of Sunshine Wanderers in that second half. We really did, and I can guarantee if you go and speak to Paul Arneson, he'll be saying the same thing. You know, we were lucky to get away from, you know, come out of this game with a 1-1 draw.
And so were we. They hit the post.
Yeah, they hit the post. We hit the post too.
Inside of the post.
Yeah, we hit the post as well.
Yeah. So there's opportunities there.
I thought it was actually a good game of football.
I thought it was one of the best games so far this year.
Between both teams have both played and done a plan and stuck to a plan. So definitely. But look, again, you can't win them all. There's 51 points up for grabs. Plenty of points still in the bank to play for, and we'll be here to watch it the whole way. But you know, as you said, they're looking at the league table. Lions back on top on goal difference. Gold Coast United in second, and we only conceded 1 goal. Also equal points. Sunshine Coast Wanderers, Moreton Bay in fourth. So, and then Brisbane City equal points with Moreton Bay, and we're just behind there. Currently in sixth on 8 points. But still very early days. All right, one other talking point we want to put some light on is our under-23s. Under-23s have not been the best of a team in years gone by here at Gold Coast
What did I say last year, boys? What did I say leading into the semi-final?
If there's no top 4, it's a steak dinner.
Steak, chips and salad.
And it looks like we will not be getting that.
Looks like
you owe me 4 already. So
steak, chips and salad looks like that. No, look, Jamie has done a phenomenal job. You have to look there at what he's done with the playing group that he's got. Obviously, good communication there between, you know, obviously Scotty and Jamie, and then Jimmy as well, and Paul in the 18s. There's a lot of continuity this year in those younger age groups with Scott, which is telling. But beautiful football. Good to see Harry Lane as well. Bit of a highlight in that squad. Obviously, Harry's fighting hard to get back into that first team setup. And I think they're playing some good football. Jamie's really stood up in the senior space, Jimmy.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He's learning every week, and the most important thing is that he loves being in that environment. He's learning a lot. Again, it's a totally different thought process than obviously the SAP, where it's it's about technique and understanding moments in the game. This is all about winning. So it's a totally different thought process. So he's learning that. I sit in with his halftime talks and pre-games and things like that, and help him through some issues and problems out on the field. And he takes all those things on board. So it's been really good. I'm really happy that we've got a really young list, and that for me is really appealing.
Who don't like to play with 11 players?
Sorry?
Haven't played one game with 11 players till the end.
Yeah.
And still winning games.
We've had some issues with the goalkeeper a couple of games.
And still winning games.
And we're still winning games, yeah. So, again, it's great to see. We've got a young list in the 18s, we've got a young list in the 23s, we've got a young list in the 16s, and they're all in the top 2 or 3.
All winning
at
games.
This particular moment.
Winning games.
So that for me is where we need to be in that pointy end. We want obviously to be, in that top echelon in a performance phase. The 13s and 14s and 15s, not so much, but in the 16s, 18s and 23s, and obviously seniors, we're obviously educating our players to understand what the win means.
The women.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Weapons.
Proving a point. Not going to lie, after the Runaway Bay game, I was a bit worried about the Musgrave game. This is a Musgrave team that hasn't, as crazy as it sounds, a team that hasn't lost, I don't think, a league game in quite some time. Multiple year champions, and to come and absolutely put on a display 7-0. It's a testament to Gary and his entire squad, what they've been able to do. Isn't that right, Adrian?
It is. They belong in a higher division. There's no doubt about it. They're fish out of water. And we always need to caveat that every time we talk about them, because they are. They're playing in a division well beneath their skill set. Not to take away from what the FQPL3 is, because to be fair, you've Runaway Bay as well, and even Surface now.
Palm Beach,
and Palm Beach. They're good teams.
Yeah.
They're good teams, and those clubs also have aspirations. Musgrave came here, and it was a fair game. It was actually a game played in good spirits compared to the one against Runaway Bay.
Yeah.
And the Musgrave girls were gracious in defeat, and I think it bodes well. I think the big game coming up, and Jimmy's going to love this one as well, is obviously Olympic women's.
We're getting the bus.
Well, Jimmy, I actually have an update for you. So for all our listeners, the fixture has been swapped to the Croatian Sports Centre.
Oh, you still get the bus?
It's playing on the...
you can get the bus from your place. It's
April 13 here at the CSC, due to their field getting refurbed in time for the Women's World Cup.
Can we get a bus?
Mad.
So
we can get a bus.
Mad. Everyone, get down here.
We will make it a big one.
Get down here.
Because it would be great to support the women in the way in which the men are supported. So stay tuned. We'll do some media around that. But it's exciting times for the girls as they push deep into the Kappa Cup series.
Tough start for the FQPL3 men. 2-1, 2-1, 3-2, and then a 4-1 loss at Kingscliff away. Hasn't been the start, obviously, that they wanted, but. Again, playing teams that are currently in the top 4 and have big aspirations. Obviously, always going to be tough in that competition, coming up against teams and clubs that's their first team. It's always going to be difficult, but the sun always shines. There's always tomorrow, and I'm sure that better days are coming for the FQPL3 boys. But we've all been around that competition, the old Gold Coast Premier League. So, what can we expect to see Sharky and the boys bounce back in the coming weeks?
Look, you have to always remember that Gold Coast Knights teams, no matter where they are in South East Queensland, want to beat us. They all think, no matter who we're playing, they all think it's Scott McDonald's NPL side, and they all cherish that victory in the same type of manner, which is a testament to this club and the way in which we set up and do our business. But let me tell you, I think Sharky's squad, it's a new division. You also got to add the complexity of a reserve side as well that are struggling, to be fair, at the moment, and realise the fact that it is the Gold Coast Premier League. And Mark, you said it to me when we were walking here today that it's the Gold Coast Premier League. These are, for many clubs, they're top sides that invest money and invest time, invest resources. Yep. So Sharky shouldn't be too disappointed. Like, let's be honest, Kingscliff probably look likely to get promoted. They're probably the team to look out. I think
Robina quite comfortably are absolutely on a tear.
So there you go.
But again, it's a good learning experience for us as well. I know we want to win, I get that, but we didn't really win the FQPL4 league. We were given a token gesture of coming into a FQPL3. We were umming and ahhing, should we, shouldn't we?
Late start to accept that.
We decided to do it, which is great for the football club as a whole. We're bringing back the community aspect to our football club, which is great. Sometimes I shake my head when I come here on a Friday night and I hear what all these other supporters from other clubs are shouting out abuse and things like that. It's a totally different cauldron, but at the same token, I think Sharky will learn and will understand that it's not an easy gig, and players need to be committed, as a group and as a squad. Everyone needs to be committed. Everyone needs to support them as well. We can't just go because we're losing, we just don't support our team. So we need to get behind them and support them in the best way possible. Now, if Sharky has an issue with some coaching and things like that, it's up to us to help him.
We have to provide support.
We have to help him. It's pretty simple, so for me, I think it's fantastic that we're in that environment. I don't want us to slip. I don't want us to, say that word relegation. But I don't want that to be part of our makeup at our club.
Far from relegation.
So let's take the bit by the teeth and have a serious crack at it for the next 6 or 7 weeks.
But we have played the hard teams. Obviously, not Rabina, but
Kingscliff and Musgrave, who are both currently in the top 4, and then obviously Runaway Bay as well. Which was obviously the first game when they should have, and from all accounts, the Runaway Bay game, they had plenty of opportunities. We did, and Musgrave as well. Coming direct from the Musgrave camp, that they probably halftime came at a perfect time for them. In another 10 minutes, and it could have been a different story. So, and that's football. It's moments.
That's football, though. It's moments in the games, and sometimes you take them, sometimes you don't. And again, they're not professional footballers. They're people who got jobs, and it's social, and they come here twice a week, and sometimes they don't even come here twice a week. They come here once a week. So the expectations as a club loom very large, but what their capabilities are, it's two different things. Or the capacity is.
I think what Adrian said there, it's people come and play the Gold Coast Knights. And for them, it's because it's their Champions League, it's their number one team, it's their biggest competition. They're beating the Gold Coast Knights in their view, and that's that.
That's right.
They don't see it as a group of boys, collective boys, a lot of them Croatian, coming together, playing social football, enjoying themselves, having the camaraderie. They don't view it as that. They view it as, we're out to beat Gold Coast Knights, and that's that. And that, in their mind, it's a win against the entire club.
So what are you saying? So what are you thinking now? So for me, what I think is we're doing a great job.
100%. As a club,
correct. As a collective,
that people
absolutely.
That people
we're a
that
strong
excited.
club now. You know what I mean?
Correct.
We're people looking at us going, "Oh, geez, we want to seriously have a go at this team." Why? Because we are strong.
The question is, what happens if we one day wake up and decide to want to go win the FQPL3 as well?
And maybe we will.
Well, maybe.
And maybe we will.
Maybe.
Why not? Maybe we will.
And why not?
And we've got juniors coming through now as well. So we've got players now who might not make our first team in the NPL, but we're going to give them opportunities to play QPL3 and hopefully maybe QPL2. You know what I mean? So we've got a partnering club at Surface who's FQPL1 at the moment. So all of a sudden we've got options for all our juniors coming through.
And that's the scary part, I think. A lot of these clubs pre-2016, they got the edge over Gold Coast Knights. We loved to see the Knights where they were. They all loved it at that point. Then the resurgence, the bounce back, the escalation through the leagues. Now we're back at there, but we're still at the top in the NPL, but we've also got that again. And as we all know, the glory years of 16-17 could return. We all in the local comp. It was an enjoyable time here at the CSC, Jimmy, before you came across us. So Adrian is smiling, and
I've been here.
He might get the itch
again. I was
again.
Here before.
He might get the itch again to go in the local sphere. But
look, we as a club need to, which I know Jimmy is pushing hard on, is to set up a bit of a profile between what we are going to be, what we want Surfers Paradise to be, and act accordingly with our squad. There's no reason why we shouldn't be poaching players from NPL rivals or local Premier League rivals or FQPL2 and asking them to go and do jobs at Surfers Paradise or in an FQPL3 environment, and provide that same level of support. I think ideally where we would succeed as a club and in the eyes of parents, fee-paying parents, is if you can deliver the same type of resource and environment that our NPL men's and FQPL3 women receive. Yep. If you can deliver that at that FQPL3 men's level, and even at Surfers Paradise for that matter, why would parents ever leave this environment?
Yeah, it's part of being part of the wider group and knowing that your son, daughter is in an environment where, you might not be in the NPL team, but you're in an FQPL environment that's just as good and the same par.
Just as well resourced, that
Correct.
have just the same type of ambition, same type of quality of training. You know, we feed the players, we look after them, we do a lot of things that other, winning teams in that FQPL3, for lack of a better phrase, do at their own clubs.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
it's our first season back in the FQPL3, and obviously first time for Sharky as well, coaching at that competitive level. And we need to support Sharky, and to Jimmy's credit, Jimmy said it's probably time now that we give a little bit more assistance and ensure that we don't get relegated, because it would be an embarrassing thing for this club.
I think it will be all okay, and good times are coming. All right, a couple of quick other segments before we wrap it up. Jimmy, by popular demand, we would like a pitch report from Ballinger Park, your favourite surface in Queensland.
Wembley. Wembley.
Still looking like Wembley.
Still looks really, really good.
Have you sussed it out, that June or July fixture, somewhere in the middle of winter on a Sunday?
I still think it'll be really good. It might be a little bit yellow because of the dew in the morning and the cold down at Ballinger, but it will be sustainable for the how we want to play.
To be honest, we should actually send you around some of these away fixtures coming up in the second round. You've got Complex as well. What a surface that's going to be in June as well.
Yeah. Well,
mind you, the CSC is looking better. Winter Ride's getting sown soon. Is that right, gents?
Yes. Next
week.
Sowing, next week.
Sowing here, sowing seeds.
Sowing the seeds of love.
That's right.
So fingers crossed that lush green turf, Craig's.
It looks pretty green already.
Field 2's looking
Lush
great.
green turf carries us through to another draw.
There's not much difference between the synthetic green grass here, the colour, to the number 1 field or the number 2. In all honesty,
except for the patches of bug mites and
can't get rid of those. They're part of us.
Settle down.
And overzealous weeds.
That's part of us. Also, NSD update. We haven't heard anything. Also would have been announced, I'm sure, Adrian. So no further update, I assume.
Look, no further update with respect to our application. But I have to say, and for those that have been keeping a keen eye on the NSD, there seems to be a bit of a power play now happening at A-League level as well. So.
Two new teams being accepted?
Clearly the A-Leagues are concerned with what the NSD could do to the erosion of its market share, whatever market share they've got left, I guess. And, talking about the inclusion of a Canberra team in Tasmania without any bids or any type of consultation, almost as if it's...
Is there an Auckland team happening?
Canberra and Auckland are in.
Canberra and Auckland.
But there's two more licences up for grabs. So my question to you...
And they're talking, and those other two, Mark, and good point, I was trying to get to that. Obviously, Gold Coast has been slated as an opportunity, which is an interesting one for us as a city. I don't know. I'm in two minds where football is out on the Gold Coast in general, and I think the thing that we struggle to understand is who's going to support it, who's going to back it, who's going to buy the shirts, and what entity goes in, and how does that entity look,
and where do they play?
I
think that's a major point because of the council-owned stadiums, government-owned stadiums at Cbus.
Well, it can't be Cbus.
It can't be Cbus.
It can't be Cbus. No. No way.
And that would be a major detriment financially to whichever that entity is. But could we possibly see some NSD teams, aim for the A-League rather than, playing the B-League? So withdraw their bid potentially, maybe South Melbourne or someone like that?
When your bigger markets are already full, right? Like your bigger markets already have had their expansion. Yeah. Melbourne's done. Sydney's done. Where do you go in Sydney?
Maybe another team in Adelaide, South Australia?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think they're strong enough yet. Like Adelaide's got a great system down there.
I think Canberra.
Canberra's already got a license. So Canberra and Auckland are in.
Auckland get one. Tasmania, don't really know. They haven't really done too much in the Australian Cup.
Queensland should have another team, but we've seen Northern Fury.
Yeah, but where do we take that though?
Where do we take it? Yes.
Where do we take it?
You love your Sunshine Coast.
Well, let me just tell you. There's 30,000
Tell us, Jimmy.
There's 30,000 expats there.
I hear that every single
and if you go down to Budrum or Coolum or Ballinger on a weekday, they're playing six-a-side there like it's going out of fashion. Yeah, drinks are flowing, making plenty of money on the bar. There's plenty of people there that want to support a high level sport. That's in any sport. When there was COVID,
Sunshine Coast Lightning.
Sunshine Coast there. No, but that's fine. But when COVID was on, Melbourne Storm was based there. Melbourne Storm. at Sunshine Coast.
When they're at the peak of their powers as well. Yeah.
And they were getting 10 to 15,000 people at that stadium.
Easily, yeah.
You know, so there is people there, there is a collective there that want to see high-level sport, you know, and from what I can see, I think the region is ready to go.
Isn't it strange that a Gold Coast with 750,000 people, average attendance 10 to 15,000 in our professional sporting in the NRL and AFL, but the Sunshine Coast can get that quite consistently during the COVID periods and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see their population, could they sustain a professional team week in, week out, and the grind? I mean, one-offs is a bit different, but would an A-League team work on the Sunshine Coast consistently?
Can't see why it wouldn't.
You know what really needs to happen, particularly from a Gold Coast perspective, is proper data analysis needs to be done on the Suns and the Titans to understand exactly their crowd situation, how they market, and what it's actually costing them to bring the people through there. What is their cost per head to have the crowd that they have coming through the gates? Because
spend compared
you know
to
that AFL's getting paid $21.6 million last year to fund the Suns from AFL House. 21.6. Could you imagine if an A-League club from its governing body got 21.6 million?
Probably fund close the whole, for half the A-League for that. 14.
How big's the Dolphin Stadium in Redcliffe? How many does that hold?
I think it holds about 20.
No, there's enough.
KO 15, 20? Maybe 15.
15.
Yeah, probably
I believe,
15.
Yeah, 15. So I can't see us. If we're going to...
You don't even need 15.
No, you need 10.
Yeah.
Tops at best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you need to understand as well that if you're going to be an A-League club or a B-League club, you're playing teams that are interstate. Now, how many of those teams are going to bring their supporters
Maybe
along with
5
them?
people,
5 people? Say 50 people. Say 100 people.
if you're lucky.
I feel lucky, yeah.
A-League.
Say 100 people.
Bring 50 to Penn Power for
Okay.
I think,
the final.
So if you do the numbers there, and you've got a 10,000 seater stadium, and at least you want to fill it to 5,000, you've got to find
4,500 more.
4,900 people, to come. So if that's going to happen, then the game has to be a standalone. It can't be Robina playing Burleigh, or Gold Coast Knights playing Runaway Bay on the same day.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, we've got to have an understanding that it's got to be a collective region supporting one entity.
Yeah.
So that's the only way it's going to work. Do we take it to a regional? Maybe occasionally, who knows? But to try and get the collective, maybe from northern New South Wales, or from Logan. We don't talk about Logan. Logan's a massive catchment area there that no one's looking after, in all honesty. So, maybe we look at the northern area of the Gold Coast and we build something there, if that's what we're going to do, or if that's what, the entity wants to do. Because it's growing in the north rapidly, and there's people
North
there, and
and
there's
west.
population, in Logan.
There's too many things to do on the Gold Coast. Prices are too high for tickets. No
They're
standalone.
even talking about AFL family passes to last weekend's round of fixtures in the AFL.
Cheap.
It's just incredible. It's an expensive sport, but I think that's where our opportunity lies. I really do, and it's a shame to see the A-League and the FA so fragmented in its approach and style, because
But not those Socceroos.
What does that tell you?
Don't
about
get
our-
me started
What does
about
that tell you about
Socceroos.
the whole process
it's flawed.
in football?
It's fundamentally
Do you know
flawed.
what I mean? I just don't get how every other nation out there, can do it really well, and us here, who we're starving for it. You can see when the World Cup's on, you get 50,000 people bloody at Melbourne Centre.
The problem is the WOG factor, the NSL factor still exists, and there are those that can't let go of the past, and there are those that refuse to accept the future. That's the reality of it. And I'm a WOG, and I can tell you from now, and I'm a WOG that backs a Croatian back club. Those that can't let go of the past, and those that won't embrace the future. And that's where our sport is forever dogged, dogged by that factor of can't let go of its past. Still talking about Mark Vidukas, still talking about Postacoglu's and Murray and all of those yesteryear players, instead of talking about our future. But that's starting to change as well. You look at the young bright boy from Adelaide United. You look at Kuyol as well, that's coming through the ranks. Central Coast Mariners. not enough is said about the amount of production of players that they do in a place called Gosford.
Yep.
You know, it's not even coming out of our major centres. It's coming out of a regional centre.
Yep. Exactly.
So from that perspective, I think that's where whatever happens with the entity from the Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast or Ipswich or Brisbane or whatever it may be, or wherever it may be, I think serious pause we need to hit the pause button and say, right, how do we get 2,000 to a game? And then how do we get 3,000 to a game? How do we get 4,000 to a game? And if it means we've got to play in NPL, what's wrong with Macedonia Park for Perth Glory?
Preston
They
Lions.
had their best games at Macedonia Park. Best football, best atmosphere. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing
offensive with that. This is Australia. Soccer is not the number one sport in this country in terms of elite sport. So build it up. So you do have that problem that you do then need to go to the bigger stadiums.
But it is the most participated sport.
It is, but that's
participation is different between money
correct.
paying and fee paying people to go watch it professionally.
I get that.
Yeah, and also accessibility.
But that tells you that we've got a groundswell of support down the bottom, that we need to tap into, to lift that game status in that higher echelon.
For sure. I mean, gents,
it's just what it is.
We could sit and debate for hours, but again, a pleasure as always. Thank you for coming out. A big game against Brisbane Raw Youth Friday night, Kappa Pro Series. We're currently top of the table in the Kappa Pro Series. Looking to continue that run here Friday night at the Croatian Sports Centre, followed by next week's Brisbane City clash back in the NPL Queensland, away from home. Wood-fired pizzas will be on. Jimmy,
Brisbane City.
There's
Let's have dinner up there.
There's a whole pizza with your name on it.
We'll have a quick little dinner up there, huh?
Well, what is it?
Bit of dough.
What type of pizza?
There's everything.
Slap
Looks
on a
good.
bit of tomato.
Looks good. I'm ready to go.
I don't eat.
Easter Saturday.
Easter Saturday.
Is it Easter
It's
Saturday?
an Easter Saturday clash.
Is it Orthodox Easter Saturday?
Not
or is it-
yours.
Sorry?
I don't know. No, it is. But you guys share the same Easter? Yeah,
No,
you do.
No, we don't.
Well, there we go. On that note, we're getting a history lesson as well as football lesson.
No, we don't.
Again, thank you both. Appreciate
we
your
don't.
time. Busy schedules ahead.
Is that gluten-free, that pizza?
I don't know. You can ask. See how you go.
Mozzarella.
Hopefully.
Basil?
Amazing wood-fired pizza.
Pepperoni?
Did you see it?
Any
I saw it.
pepperoni in there?
Tell you what.
Kransky roll or
I think
wood-fired
we need a
pizza?
Chavapi.
What about
Fired oven.
the old meat lovers with the old barbecue sauce?
Has to be the hickory.
Jeez, there's got to be Master Foods or I'm not going up there.
Agreed.
Have to get Cavalucci onto that one. Need a bit of barbecue sauce.
That's it. On that note,
Too funny.
thank you all for listening again. Good luck to our Knights across the entire Southeast
And
Queensland.
to our
games.
academy as well and community teams. We didn't get a chance to speak about that. Next week we'll have a bit of a segment on them. Get Jamie in for a bit of a chat and Raoul to talk about it. Obviously a bit of FQC licenses as well in the last week too, Mark.
Yep.
Which is good. But let's save that for next week. Too much to cover.
Done. Again, this has been another episode of the Coastal Dental Care Nightlife podcast. Best of luck to all our teams across Southeast Queensland. We'll be back next week for another edition of the pod.